Hey, Facebook family, welcome to another segment of the Southwest Spotlight. I'm your host, Janice Hernandez, Director of Communications and Media Relations. With us today, we have Luis Gonzalez, Director of Guidance and Counseling today. He is going to help us answer some of our parents' most frequently asked questions and resources for our families. Luis, thank you so much for joining us today. As families are adjusting to this new virtual world, what are some of the things you're seeing as the biggest challenges for them?
Well, just like for the families, same thing for the counselors and really all the staff. It's a very new world for us all, just doing all this virtually or remotely. And so for the counseling piece, one of the biggest things is that face-to-face, that interaction, that human interaction that students, would tend to do and go and seek their counselor when needed. We have obviously an open door policy, and so how do we do that in this world, right? With an open door policy when we can't. And so that is a big change. And so with that comes along that support that the students would reach out for, that social emotional support if they were having little issues with whether it be at home or at school with a friend. It's something that they would go and seek that assistance. And so although that personal or face-to-face has changed, we do want to know, let the community and the students know that we are still here for them and that we are, of course, very different. It looks different, but we are there for that support, whether it be a social emotional support, an academic support, questions that they might have in regards to their courses and what they're doing. We are still there. And so there is there are ways that they can reach out to their counselor and get that support that we would tend to do face-to-face. We're now doing it remotely, whether it be by a phone call, text communication, email through or text through Remind. So there's different formats that we're still keeping that contact as much as we can.
Well, Luis, you and your team have been very proactive in getting information out to our families and providing resources. There is a newsletter that you all send out on a weekly basis, and some of the topics are pretty interesting and pretty useful for our families to really look into. So talk a little bit about some of those topics, especially when we look into future planning for our elementary and secondary students.
Sure. Yeah, and that is our weekly communication. We're collaborating, of course, all the counselors and social workers in the district. We gather our resources, ideas, things that we can actually send out to not only our students but our parents as well. Because we know that they are all in a new world with this virtual world that we are in now. And so, for example, you mentioned the future planning, and the future planning is just we have tips or updates as to where are we with that when it comes to for example, our elementary students that are especially moving our transition from 5th grade to middle school. And that's a big piece of that transition for that group of students. And we know that they have to do course selections for their schedule for next school year, et cetera. And so, we continue to do that work. A lot of it, thank goodness that we did do a lot of that legwork prior to spring break. And so we did have a lot of information gathered from our students already, but those that we did not or do not, we have already done that reach out. And so we're doing that electronically. And so those are things that and I'm in constant communication with the counselors to see where are we as far as how many students have not submitted. And if not, they do that reach out. And so that is some of the future planning for our elementary. Middle school is a big one, going into the high school and selecting their pathways, their endorsement, things like that. And so those are also things that we continue to work with our students, and our counselors are constantly reaching out to the students. And of course, we have our post-secondary future planning, which is our students that are at the high school level and already planning their college and what are they doing? Is it a career? And so with this big change that we did not expect, a lot of our students have had to change their plans. And so we're we are there, and we want them to know that they can reach out to our counselors so that they can get some guidance in regards to that. But so our future planning for the levels looks different, and but we want them to know that we are here for them, and so we want to support them as much as we can and guide them and walk them through so that their transition for the following year, whether it's from elementary to middle to high, or high to college or career, that we have a plan for them. We want to work on the plan with them.
Well, and like you said, with what's taking place, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that are constantly changing. We're looking at the situation on a daily basis. We did open this up for some of our Facebook and Instagram users to see if they had some questions. And we did. We had some questions. One question from a parent was, how can we obtain our students' current GPA during this closure?
Okay. And so, and that is, that's, I'm sure, a question that a lot of our folks have. And so for our current seniors, I mean, we do have updated transcripts, updated GPAs that they can access by contacting their counselor. And they can contact, and before we close out, we can reiterate this, but there is a request form that's online that they can either access through the district website or the counseling site, or each of the schools have the same form, and so they can request. And part of it is the request is that they are wanting to talk to the counselor regarding academics or things like the transcripts. And so we do have that, and they are available. They would have to request it and complete a form to get their transcript, which of course includes their GPA. And so that is current and up to date for the seniors. For all other grade levels, we do have their GPA for that, but that is based on the summer or the end of last school year. So we work, and that is not just because of the situation we're in, but that is the way we do any other cohorts or grade levels we do at the end of the year, so for the summer. And so that is something that we're right now, of course, working on, and there's a lot of decisions that are being made as far as grading and things like that. And so, but that's a way that they can do that. They can definitely reach out or email at the high school level. A lot of communication between the counselor and student goes through the email. They can do email and request that, or and then they'll be directed as to what steps to take.
Okay. Another question we had were from some parents asking about seniors, when they'll be receiving their gowns and pictures, class ring, graduation, these things that are also coming up soon.
Correct. And so just like we keep hearing on the news and everything and everywhere, it's constantly changing, and it literally is, even in that specific world, those things are changing. And so right now I know that the principals both from Southwest High School and Southwest Legacy, they are both working on those details. And so waiting on, and we always follow the direction of course, our superintendent, which follows the direction of our city, our state, and the decisions that they make. And so for now, know that they are doing those plans, making those plans. And as soon as some bigger decisions from our state and from our local government come down, and the decisions made by our superintendent, that will be definitely communicated as far as what process that the students will be able to take to obtain those items. We know that those are questions and concerns that they have, and so I know that we're diligently working on that. And I know that the principals from each of those high schools met just as of yesterday, and so they're constantly doing that. And so we will get that out to them. Included, you mentioned the newsletter. We will add any updates that pertain to our seniors. We will be adding those to those newsletters as well. So check that as well.
Okay. So what are we going to do? Some parents had questions about attendance recovery. What are we doing regarding that, or what do they need to know regarding that?
Very good. And so, yes, it's already in place. So we have at each of the schools, we have attendance committees. And so these attendance committees meet, obviously virtually they're meeting now. And so to discuss their plans and to look at the list of students that may need that attendance recovery. And so they're working on that as of now. And the committees are reaching out to the students and informing the families that they do need to recover some of the attendance. And so they're doing this by providing either extra assignments, extra projects, things that the students can work on that will also help them in making that attendance recovery. So that is in place. So you would be getting a call or an email or something from one of the members of the committee from the schools informing you of that and what you need to do.
Okay. And then one last question that we had from one of our community members was asking about participation in the Alamo Promise, and that there was supposed to be an orientation taking place in May. So they're just wondering what the status is on that.
Correct. And we are in constant communication with our Alamo colleges as well. And so that is a big concern of ours, or a question that we had, not a concern, but and they are the same as we are planning daily as well. And so their decisions change, and so one of the things that they did recommend to us and to they recommend to the students, and where I'm extending that to them, is that they would like for them to be in constant check-in with their ACES email. And so all of our students have an ACES account. And so checking through that, because any updates that are happening, for example, any deadline extensions or things of that sort, they would have to be through their ACES email. So check that daily. So I'm urging that our seniors do that constantly. And they did say check daily, and that's what the Alamo colleges are saying. So, but that is a continuing plan. And so the Alamo Promise is still there. It's still good. And so if a student did their save their seat, and they know what I'm talking about, because we had big staff from our district go and sit face to face with our students, to our seniors. And so we did have a good percentage of our seniors complete that. And so if they did that, make sure that you continue to follow up on and check it on your ACES email. And that really, as far as on the orientation, I know that the platform's going to change. I mean, we know that, and so they are planning for a possible virtual orientation. And so the details are to come. I do not have the dates of those or times yet, but that's why they want the students to check their ACES email constantly. As soon as we do find that out, or we have it, we will place that also in our newsletter. And so that way the students and parents can check in different locations.
So Luis, is there anything else you'd like to add and let our parents and community members know about?
And really, I want to not only reiterate that, not just for the Alamo colleges, but those students that had already planned, that had been accepted, or that were already going to, whether it's a state or out-of-state university or college, please make sure that you also are doing that. Not only does that pertain to our Alamo colleges, but that's to any college and university, is reaching out to them, checking your emails, contacting them. One of the biggest things that I do want to inform students or let them know is that if there was a change, and I know that with all this situation right now, a lot of our parents, a lot of our adults are, their jobs have changed, or maybe they are unemployed, or they have lost their job. So if that's a change that has happened in your family, and you had already maybe gotten an award for your FAFSA, for your financial aid from a university, make sure you reach out to that university's department, that financial aid department, and inform them of that. And because right now they know that, they are aware of that, and it is not necessarily a guarantee, but it may be able to help you if you inform them and they update that status as far as what the income is coming. And so they know that. And so they are trying to work with a lot of our students. And so please make sure that you do reach out to that college or university financial aid department to do that.
Awesome. Well, Luis, thank you so much. I want to let our community members know that all of this information is also on our website in your newsletter. Our website is www.swisd.net. Make sure you go on there and look under the counseling tab for information and important resource information regarding counseling services for our students and our family. So thank you again for answering questions for our families, and we appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you.